And OPEX Gatwick, we are back here today. I showcased for you in a video recently how my lower body session took at the moment. Today we're effectively going to kind of duplicate that process with an upper body session. So we've got a few different bits and bobs on the menu for today's guns and chest and shoulders and back and ting workout. But first of all, as standard, because we are healthy and I'm old AF and held together by blue tack and sellotape, better warm up properly. Okay, so that's a bit of rolling out done. Now we are on to my official documentation. It's terrible, isn't it? And for the warm-up, I'm kind of sticking to the same theme that I've been going with for the last few weeks, and I really, really do like this, and it's kind of like a mini WOD that I use as part of my warm-up. And I do 4 or 5 rounds or something. I use the first 1 or 2 rounds as kind of like a little bit of like just building the foundations, a bit of a general warming phase, and then from there, the second I kind of start round 3, that's when I start to amp up the pace and then get a little bit more of a blood pumping. And again, that kind of ticks a few boxes for me. 1, it means that I don't have to do the same flipping warm up every single session, and that to me just bores me. And number 2, I get a little bit of a kind of a metabolic conditioning effect. I get a little bit of like a mini kind of cardio set done in the warm up. As long as I don't go and, come out the gate too quickly and injure myself. It's like, as I said, the first kind of 2 rounds, nice and chilled pace. The second I start round 3, it starts to amp up. So today, I'm going to do 200 meters on the curve runner. I'm doing an upper body session, but I still just think it's a bit of general warming phase that can be beneficial. And then I'm going to do 10 lunges, then I'm going to do 12 kettlebell row, 12 kettlebell swings, 8 dumbbell push jerk, and then I might do some stuff, maybe 5 or 6 calories on the skio, but arms only. Obviously kind of no real eccentric just coming up, but then just down, working the lats and the triceps on the concentric phase. So 3-4 rounds of that, because there's quite a few exercises there. Let's get cracking. And warm-up is complete. It was super cold today, and I know it's always cold in here when I first get in. It's all a thermal top, and I'm absolutely flipping sweating my ball bag off. So we'll see if we cool down. So, upper body, we have number 1. I'm going to show you it in stages to build the anticipation and tease you. We've got the strength theme on. We're going to do strict press for 7, and then chest supported row for 7. So we don't have kind of a proper bench to do that. So we've got 2 plyo boxes. Put a bench over the top and then crack on with there. 7's a bit of an odd number, but I just feel as though it's neglected. Doing a set of 9 or a set of 11 is obviously just, if you're doing that, you're a psychopath. But 7s I feel as though are a little bit underrated, so I thought I'd get involved. So we're going to do it for 10 minutes, so 5 of each. Again, 10 total working sets, 10 total strength sets done in just 10 minutes. I do normally kind of change, because I'm a bit of a novelty seeker by character and by neurotype. I change things quite regularly, and this is something that I went to a month or so ago, and it's something I've shared with you, and the novelty is not wearing off. I am loving the fact that I can do a warm-up, do some kind of mobility and range of motion stuff, and then I can do 10 strength sets, like 10 working sets. Obviously it's only like 5% lower in terms of total load. You are going to be going a little bit lighter, but I'm going a little bit lighter, but getting X amount more volume done, and I'm saving just so much flipping time. So strength theme on, I'm still sticking to this. Strict press for 7, chest supported row for 7. Let's get warmed up, and we'll crack on shortly. And we are about to crack on. So we have 60 kilos on the bar for 7 strict overhead. I don't know whether or not that's high or low. I've had this issue with my right pec for a couple of weeks now. Well, more than a couple of weeks. It actually started about 2 weeks before I flipping went to Dubai, and I got back from Dubai a month ago, so it's probably been about 2 months. So I haven't done much horizontal push work. So I started basically just doubling down on vertical push work. So just loads and loads and loads of shoulders, loads and loads and loads of triceps. I enjoyed a good kind of strength benefit from that in the first few weeks. And then I feel as though it's just hitting fatigue point. And I was doing some overhead the other day with some dumbbells, and I was like, this feels heavy compared to normal. What the hell is going on? But I've been doing pretty much in every single, well, not pretty much, in every single upper body session, done some kind of overhead work, and I've maintained a certain level of volume of heavy work as well, which we shall see how we get on. So basically 60 for 7 should be fairly comfortable, but I'm intrigued to see how it feels on the 5th set. And then we are doing on the chest supported row, 75 kilos feeling quite good for that. And I've mentioned this to you guys a couple of times. I am a big fan at the moment of doing a little bit of pull work before I actually do my push work. And I feel as though my lat obviously works, but in addition to the big pull levers like the lats and the traps, a lot of the slightly more fine parts of the shoulder, fine muscles, stabilize, and my shoulder feels more stable when I then go into push movements. I feel more of a benefit when I do a horizontal pull and then a horizontal push, but doing horizontal pull and then a vertical push, hopefully it still works. I don't know, let's find out. If I end up, well, that's the thing, you can't really go wrong with a chest supported row because you drop the bar and it just goes away from you and you stay in the same position, so it's very safe. Let's see how we get on. Felt pretty good the first one. Actually, that felt nice and comfortable, so if it feels like that after the third set, I'll probably put a little bit more weight. Feels absolutely spot on, actually, 75. Feels comfortable, not comfortable, struggle, but doable for the first 5, then the last 2. Really having to kind of get that universal recruitment, so not being muscle-centric, being a bit more movement-centric, universal recruitment, everything, and just kind of hoping that the right muscles kick in and lift the bar up for the last 2 reps. So I'll stick to this. Luckily, the overhead feels quite comfortable so far. Third set of overhead done, but that felt okay, but that's starting to get more challenging, which is good. In the first set, first half of like a 10-minute EMOM, kind of makes sense that there should be like a nice appreciating level of fatigue. It's definitely happens now. That's getting spicy now, 7 on 60, but I think I might put it up. Just for the last one, why the devil not? And done. Cannot complain with that. Nice and fun. 65 in the last one. Again, I flipping lost count. I don't know whether I did 7 or 8. I was black out. It's not very good. Good characteristic. Not with my clients, just with myself. Obviously, I'm consummate professional. But that felt about right, especially towards the end. The rows were harder. It's less gassy, so it doesn't feel hard in that it like super takes it out of you. I always feel like that with back work. Just gets to the stage. Like if I do like a load of pull-ups, I'm not knackered, I just can't do anymore. So it's kind of the way that it felt with the rows as well, actually. Just got the stage of, super heavy. Like on the last one, I'm having to basically do singles and relax. And just on that 7th and final rep, I made sure I took the tension first, pulled my shoulder blades kind of back and down, got the traps working, got everything nice and stable in the girdle and in the socket, and then pulled. So at least it was kind of one clean rep at the end. But not too bad, just pat this stuff down, and then in a second, once I've recovered, I shall show you what we're doing next. Strength EMOM done. Now we are on to number 2 of the day, Mr. G. That is not me naming it off myself. For those of you that watched the lower body session a couple of weeks ago, MRG is basically mid-range giant set. So the strength EMOM is like the first section of my weight tray, obviously. So I have like a lower body session, an upper body session, and a Metcon. So I've done the little bit of a showcase and kind of deep dive into the lower body a few weeks ago. Today is that for the upper body. And then at some point soon, I'm doing this because this means, people see me do this, this means it's not scheduled yet. I have no idea when it's coming. The conditioning work will come in the future, but today's is the upper body version. Number 1 is the strength EMOM, number 2 is the mid-range giant set. The mid-range, what I'm saying when I say that, or what I mean when I say that, is basically mid-range of kind of within the bracket of a hypertrophic range. So for me, that is anywhere between kind of like, I don't know, 8 and 14, 8 and 15. Again, 14's a weird number, I don't know. But around about there. So like 6 reps, even though that's got 6, I'll explain that in a second. That would be more towards kind of the strength one, up to 25 reps, that's more kind of sarcoplasmic hypertrophy towards the top end. So anything around about, anything between 10 and 15 usually is about right. So we have close grip bench press for 10. Again, close grip. I want to start introducing some horizontal push in there today. A good way to do that is not to go straight into super wide stuff that like really starts to stretch the pec tendon out. And then rope climb for 2. I know the number 2 is low, but obviously that's not one contraction as such. So the way that I'm going to do it is the first rope climb, I'm going to start on my bum and then basically climb all the way up with there, obviously legless. And then the second one, I'm basically going to have a little bit of a jump. So it's basically kind of like 1.5 reps of this effectively. And then 3-point raise for 6. And the reason for that is this is effectively 12. So a 3-point raise is kind of keeping that bottom rib down so there's no like thoracic hinge. Shoulders nice and neutral, you'll see this shortly anyway. Up to the front, out to the sides and then down. And then out to the sides, back in front, and then down, so you kind of reverse it, and that's 1 rep. So the 6, again, time window wise, time under tension, the amount of kind of muscular contraction, that's still within the mid-range, I think. So that is what we're gonna do now, 3 rounds, and I'm not gonna be overly prescriptive with my rest. I will go through these fairly quickly, but the one that's likely gonna gas me out and make me need a little bit more break is after the rope climbs. So let's get cracking. What is going on, team? Now that is the giant set done. The bench, actually, I did the first round at 80, then rounds 2 and 3 went up to 90 for 10. And I've been doing some feet up stuff, kind of like feet off the ground, knees up, and that has kind of been helpful in the fact that it's isolated my pec, but because of the injury, I think it's been putting a bit too much pressure on it. So the fact that I just did normal bench then, obviously our spines aren't straight anyway, kind of a neutral curve, brings the bottom rib up a little bit. That felt absolutely fine, and that is like 90 to 10 is not particularly heavy, but the fact that I can do that without even a semblance of kind of pain, like there are no warning signs or anything, if I just like teleported into this body, I wouldn't bloody know I was injured. The rope climbs are actually okay. That third and final set was a little bit spicy. I tried to kind of go up a little bit quicker, and obviously it's the controlled eccentric, because I'm only wearing like crappy Nike trainers. I'm not wearing Metcons, I'm not wearing Nanos or anything that basically have a little bit around kind of like the inside of the arch that basically allow you to slide down. If I slid down in these, it would be just flipping burning rubber. And the 3-point raise was definitely the hardest bit of all 3 of it, I have to say. 12 kilos in each hand, and it's a front raise is fine, a lat raise is fine. Going from one to the other while attempting to kind of maintain a nice neutral torso is just very, very cheeky. Wasn't expecting that. So number 3 now, obviously we've done the strength EMOM, we've done the mid-range giant set, and now moving on to the last bit. But as you see, we go through the session, the rep scheme does get higher. So we've got like the strength work at the beginning, then we've got the mid-range giant set in the middle, funnily enough, and now we've got the pump finisher with a rep range that's much higher. So what we're gonna do is a press up ladder with max bicep curls between rounds, which basically means just 3 different variations of press up, or the same variation, but under 3 different resistances. So the first one, I basically do as many as I can band resisted, and then as soon as I can't do any more or any more without a horrendous form, I then do as many bicep curls as I can. I'll stick to probably 12s again because I'd like the numbers to be quite high, and then as soon as the bicep curls are done, I go back into the press up variation, and basically it's just pure body weight, then bicep curls again, and then actually band assisted, where I tie a little band, kind of double it up, put it kind of just above kind of the mid part of the bicep, and obviously that's kind of giving me a bit of a slingshot up. So just a little bit of a pump finisher, nothing too strength wise, and this is just pure lactic. Let's see how we get on. And there we have it, guys. The upper body session is done. We had the strength EMOM set right at the beginning. We had the mid-range giant set. We had a little bit of a finisher. Finisher can kind of be anything, really. And I think something that is kind of max reps, kind of body weight or super light resistance is just perfect. You want to be kind of hitting 20 minimum. So that's the interesting thing about this new structure that I've adopted. And again, I do it for lower body as well. If you're interested in that, refer to the lower body session that basically follows this kind of similar template. It's a little bit more complicated for lower body, obviously. But we had the strength EMOM at the beginning with the strict press, so basically the vertical push and the horizontal pull. And then within the mid-range giant set, we kind of flipped it. So we had the horizontal push and the vertical pull, just so that all 4 of those movement patterns are covered. Obviously with my kind of like, the core kind of shift, it's all good. The linchpin of what I'm doing at the moment basically being a bit of functional fitness. My upper body and my lower body sessions, there is kind of a heavy element of functional bodybuilding stuff in there as well. But because I normally finish off with something that is either lactic or aerobic or a bit of both, I'm getting enough of a kind of a conditioning component through that. And I do think that functional bodybuilding stuff might have a little bit of a bad rep in the functional fitness world, but I do think it's incredibly useful. For me, I've always felt healthier and more stable. I'm significantly less likely to get injured or kind of get any little niggles if I do some, you know, slower pace, eccentric work with some more kind of functional bodybuilding stuff in there. So today, that is the upper body session done. Lower body was done a few weeks ago. For the conditioning side of kind of how I'm structuring my work with that at the moment, you'll have to wait another couple of weeks for that. As always, guys, stay strong, stay healthy, stay awesome. See you in the next one.